So good afternoon. So I'm going to speak on the complicated retinal detachment. So this is the first talk, and it always is little difficult to start with the first talk. Anyway, so I will just give the highlight of overall the complicated scenarios of retinal detachment, particularly rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. So retinal detachment affect around 0.6 to 1.8 million people per year, people per year per 10,000 population, and over the early 20th century, the prognosis of retinal detachment was very poor and no effective treatment were available. And by last 200 years, maybe 2 centuries, there was a evolution of retinal detachment surgery. And by the last 50 years, maybe we can see the highest change in the retinal detachment management scenario. And by 2008, around 95% of cases of retinal detachment could be repaired successfully. And that was previously a blinding condition. So usually when we speak about retinal detachment, we can expect a scenario like this, and we all retinal surgeons are very happy to see a retinal detachment of this, which can be managed so easily. But all the situations are not the same, and sometimes we come to some complicated scenarios. Then what is a complicated retinal detachment? There is no any book definition I could find actually. So it is quite a subjective for the surgeons maybe. But it depends on certain factors like duration of the retinal detachment, etiology of the retinal detachment, and anatomical condition of the eye. I think the 3 factors contribute to complicated retinal detachment conditions. So number 1 condition is maybe the proliferative vitreoretinopathy. It occurs around 5 to 10% of rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. This condition depends upon certain factors like the presence of a posterior vitreous detachment, longer duration of the retinal detachment, greater physical extent of the detachment, associated vitreous hemorrhage, intraocular inflammation, previous surgery, and increased retinal tear size, especially in case of giant retinal tear. These are the conditions that predispose to proliferative vitreoretinopathy. So surgical management of PVR may require extensive peeling of membranes. A 4-port approach for bimanual dissection of membranes may be helpful in extensive PVR cases. And a soft cell technique where you can use viscoelastic material over the detached retina may be helpful in certain situations. And partially fluorinated alkanes have been tried with where in very bad cases where this can be these are heavier than siliconol and they rest over the retina in the lower part of the retina, and we can in certain situations we can leave perfluorocarbon liquid for 2 to 3 weeks and followed by a second procedure to remove the perfluorocarbon. These are the conditions that we can follow to manage PVR, very bad PVR cases. Then coming to the next condition, the traumatic rhegmatogenous retinal detachment, approximately 29% of patients with open globe injury are associated with a rhegmatogenous retinal detachment. And this condition is worsened by the breakdown of blood retinal barrier that can accelerate the intraocular inflammatory process. Corneal scarring may impair visualization of the inner side of the eye, and often the associated iris defect or an aphakia may present challenges for the placement of a tamponade, and associated intraocular foreign body may further complicate the surgical process. So that corneal opacity, how we can manage this impedes observation of the fundus. So 2 options we have: temporary keratoprosthesis or endoscopy. So endoscopy provides a narrower field of view at low resolution and hinders patient management in the postoperative period. So PK with temporary keratoprosthesis may have some advantage in this situation. So this is how you can put a temporary keratoprosthesis and manage associated retinal detachment. So this in selective cases we find helpful to complete the surgery and also in the follow-up of the patients. So next is aphakia with iris defect. So management of silicone oil is often challenging. Silicone oil can migrate into the anterior chamber and can cause keratopathy, elevated intraocular pressure, and a suboptimal oil field. So in these situations, we can use silicone oil retention scissor. So how to place the silicone oil retention scissors? We can just make 2 scleral flaps in opposite directions, and we can pass the 10-0 Prolene in crisscross fashion and make a barrier to prevent the silicon oil to coming to the anterior chamber and to coming in contact with the cornea. So this is quite an effective procedure in managing those aphakia and anarrhea cases. Next condition is retinal detachment associated with intraocular foreign body. 40% of ocular injuries may be associated with intraocular foreign body. It can be complicated by retinal detachment, incarceration of the retina, endophthalmitis, and with often sometimes with metallosis also. So surgical management is always unpredictable, and a late onset of retinal detachment may occur following successful removal of the foreign body also. So this is what is a scenario we can see in retinal detachment associated with intraocular foreign body. You can see the incarceration of the retina to the periphery anterior that was that we had to extensively cut. We had to remove the foreign body, and subsequently we had to manage the case as a giant retinal tear. So next is a giant retinal tear. Around 1.5% of pregnant retinal detachment may be associated with giant retinal tear. So innovation of PFCL and its use has increased the primary attachment rate from 58% to around 94% in giant retinal tear management. And there are certain pearls in the management of GRT that include trimming the edge of the tear, identifying the breaks, all the breaks, and injecting PFCL regularly as a single bubble and removing all anterior fluid by drying the edges of the break thoroughly to prevent slippage of the flap. So these are the basic pearls that we can follow to manage the giant retinal tear. So RD associated macular hole, I think we have a talk also on RD management of macular holes. I'm not going to speak a lot. So prevalence of macular hole coexists with a thought to be around 2% to 8% cases. ILM peeling over detached retina using a pinch and peel technique is often helpful. In use PFC small to provide contraction over the retina also. So this is how we can peel the ILM over a detached retina also. And of course, ILM peeling is not a mass procedure in case of RD associated ILM macular hole, but if we can do, usually the visual outcome is better. So next is this is how a big retinal macular hole can be managed with macular RD can be managed, and you can see a nice hole in the postoperative period. So RD with inflammatory processes and infection can also complicate retinal detachment, often accompanied by pre and postoperative proliferative vitreoretinopathy and significantly higher failure and complication rates because of the association of multiple holes in the periphery and a very thin and fragile retina and concomitant anterior and posterior segment problems.
One more minute, please. One more minute.
Okay, so you can see there are certain situations like cystic sarca cyst that can be associated with retinal detachment. So we can remove a cystic sarca cyst going to the vitreous cavity intake without disturbing the cyst, and also we can manage the retinal detachment. So this is how we can pull out the cystic sarca cyst with a cryoprop from the vitreous cavity. So certain conditions of pediatric retinal detachment are also very complicated. Pediatric retinal detachments are often complex. Multiple procedures may be necessary. It differs from adult detachment in etiology, anatomical characteristics, and management and prognosis. Appropriate preoperative evaluation of the patient and counseling of the parents is crucial. So one condition is ROP that is not included in the retinopathy, but rather a fractional condition which is very challenging situation that we nowadays we face. Though with proper screening of the ROP cases, nowadays the incidence is becoming slightly less. So entry site should be dilatation is poor. PVD cannot be acid easily. Breaks are extremely poorly tolerated, and cyclitic and pupillary membranes are common. Subretinal hemorrhage, injection, and retinal pigment epithelia degeneration may preclude the favorable function outcomes. So,
Dr. Barban, can we request you to please go to the concluding slide? Thank you.
Yes, yes. So RD with coloboma is another condition, difficulty to detection of the break and lack of pigmentation at the site of the coloboma. Retinal break may be within the coloboma or at the edge of the coloboma zone or otherwise in the retinal area of the coloboma. If no breaks could be found, preoperative early perform laser burns around the coloboma. So This is another condition, nanophthalmos, that I am not going to discuss too much. That is the executive. So PDR also there's a talk that is to discuss. So in summary, in the past 2 decades, the introduction of perfluorocarbon liquid, wide-angle viewing systems, and micro-incision vitrectomy surgery has improved outcome of complicated retinal detachments. So the most important part on the part of the surgeon is the proper diagnosis and surgical planning. That is the most important part that we should follow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manavjyoti Barma.